Hello, you are most welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your power behind the voice on Tuesday Night Anatomy with Daniel Okwan. Yes, we are still in the era of anatomy of clinical importance. And my friends, this is today's case study. Physical examination of a 1-year-old newborn revealed a bulge at the base of its umbilical cord. Now, close examination of this bulge revealed that it contained intestinal material. Okay, so the bowels were in there, and my friends, also it was actually covered. This bulge was actually covered by what we call a translucent membrane. So this is the case study we have for you. Now the first question is this. Number one, what is the most likely diagnosis as far as this newborn's case is concerned? My friends, your answer is congenital umbilical hernia. Congenital umbilical hernia. That's your answer. And my friends, better still, we can also call it omphalocoel. Omphalocoel. So either you say omphalocoel or you say congenital umbilical hernia. Yes, the reason why we are calling it congenital umbilical hernia is that, yes, by way of birth, okay? It wasn't, acquired later in life, okay? One came with it as this person was born, okay? And of course, we know that it's umbilical because we said that the bulge was at the base of what we call the umbilical cord. And we realized that it contained some kind of intestinal material. For this reason, it's a herniation. We don't expect to see the intestines out of this abdominal cavity. It's supposed to be in there. So once there has been a displacement because of some kind of defect in the abdominal wall, then we are saying that of course it becomes a hernia. Okay, so that is the reason why we call it congenital umbilical hernia or omphalocoel. Now, question number 2 is that, what is the basis for this kind of, herniation that we are talking about? So we want to understand from the embryonic viewpoint, okay, anatomically, why are we seeing this herniation of the intestinal material? And my friends, your answer is that it is due to the non-return of the physiological herniation of what we call the intestinal content. Now, one thing I want you to understand is that the midgut, yes, it develops rapidly, such that there's no space, okay, for it to be accommodated fully of course the abdominal cavity, because the abdominal cavity doesn't grow, okay, at the same rate as of course the the midgut, by way of the one who is going to form the majority of this intestine we are talking about. Is that okay? Yes. So the point is that we will see that the growth of the midgut loop, yes, outweighs that of the expansion of the abdominal cavity, and so we don't have enough space. That is why there will be herniation of this midgut loop through the umbilical opening. Now this one occurs around the 6th week of intrauterine life. Now by the 10th week of intrauterine life, we have enough accommodation in the abdominal cavity to this time around accommodate this midgut loop that got herniated. So there should be the return of this physiological hernia which took place around the 6th week of intrauterine life. Okay, at the 10th week of intrauterine life, there should be that return of this physiological herniation of the intestinal content. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And so failure for the return, then that leads to something that we are calling this congenital umbilical hernia. Now, the third question for us is that what are some of the complications associated with this congenital umbilical hernia? My friends, your answer is very simple. Number one, yes, there could be that kind of rupture of something, that translucent membrane which was covering this bulge or this covering this kind of intestinal content is something we call peritoneal sac. Peritoneal sac. So in this case, the peritoneal sac becomes the hernial sac. And so this hernial sac could get ruptured. And once it get ruptured, yes, this patient or this newborn, yes, may, suffer from, of course, some kind of secondary bacterial infection, and then most likely going to lead to this, newborn's death. So there could be rupture of this, peritoneal sac or the hernial sac, leading to exposure to, of course, infections. Now, the other complication that may be associated with this one is that because we have a lot of mass in the abdominal cavity, okay, which most of it has herniated, that's what we are seeing as the congenital umbilical hernia, what will happen is that this newborn may experience some kind of respiratory distress. That is also another possibility, okay, by way of the complications that one may experience, okay, in this regard. Okay, so these are the two important points which I want you to know as far as the complications, are concerned. Now, the next question that I want to ask you is that how do we then, manage this one? Yes, no doubt that, in the first few days of life, of course, I'm talking about extrauterine life, we have to repair, okay, this, of course, defects that we find in, of course, the, the abdominal cavity, which has resulted in herniation of this, intestinal content. We have to repair, and of course, give all these, some of these antibiotics and all that, okay. And then post-operatively, we have to take good care of this, newborn. So that, of course, those kind of iatrogenic injuries, and of course, also the infections, okay, nosocomial infections and what have you, you will not, result in some kind of complications further, leading to this, patient discomfort and eventually die. Now, this, we said that the diagnosis is Omphalocoel or congenital umbilical hernia. Now, the next question I want to ask you is that what are the characteristics of this congenital umbilical hernia? My friends, the characteristics is that, yes, it's a midline defect in the abdominal wall. That's the first thing. And then we are saying that it will also take place at the base of what we call the umbilical cord. That's number 2. And number 3 is that this hernia, this herniation of the intestinal content will be covered by that translucent membrane by way of the peritoneal sac, okay, which becomes a hernial sac in this regard. Okay, so I want you to, yes, really understand, this concept that I'm trying to tell you. My friends, the next question I want to ask is that what other congenital anomaly may mimic this one? And my friends, how do we draw the line between them? My friend, the other thing that can be confusing with this congenital umbilical hernia or Omphalocoel is, my friend, something we call gastroschisis. Gastroschisis. Now, gastroschisis too has to do with a congenital issue. There's also herniation of the intestinal content. Okay, but this time around, it is not a midline defect. It will take place, yes, on the anterolateral aspect of the abdominal wall. Okay, so it's not a midline defect, usually at the right side. That's what we see. And then the other thing is that this time around, the hernia, okay, will not be contained in what we call the peritoneal sac. That's also another point that I want to tell you. So my friends, I believe you find this meeting helpful. I'm very grateful for your time this evening. Have a good night, all of you, and may the good Lord richly bless you. Amen.